Welcome to Success Factors. I'm your host, Brenda Siri, and today I'm joined by Stephanie Chandler, the president and CEO of Community Well Texas. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today, Brenda.
I'm so excited that you're here. When you and I first met, we met through an organization that I'm on the board of called Women with Promise. And our mission is to help women in the community get a hand up. And we were introduced to your organization,
Yes,
who has tremendous needs. And one of the things that impacted me was how hard it was to believe that just 45 minutes outside of Dallas, there is so much need. And I really wanted to have you on the show today so you could share a little bit more about Community Well Texas. So I'm really thankful to have you here.
thank you.
You shared with us what's happening in Fannin County, and it is really just hard to believe that there is so much crisis there. Can you share a little bit more about your organization and what you do and what's happening in Fannin County?
Absolutely. We met when I was brand new and the first employee. I was a founding board member and had been on the journey in my community for several years. But what we were seeing was that our youngest community members, our babies between 32 weeks and 40 weeks, weren't living past 40 weeks. And we really began looking at that and then going by age groups and trying to figure out what was happening. We know, like many rural communities in Texas, that we have no OBGYNs, we don't have pediatricians, and we don't have a health department. So you have a 45-minute barrier, and that's with transportation, to start your child's life. The second thing we found was that our age group of kids 10 to 14 were committing suicide. And so that is the second leading cause of death in that age group. And then as community members, we came together to do something about it. And that's where the journey began with our nonprofit and standing in the gap.
Wow. It's so hard to think about a child being in crisis to the point of feeling like they need to commit suicide. Statistically, how many people in Texas actually face mental health issues?
Just what we know about from reliable data sources, we know at a minimum 1 in 5. We also know that Texas ranks 46th in the U.S. for mental health care and access. And in our rural communities, we are truly left out. And so if rural Texans don't come together and create solutions, we just continue this legacy of not having any access to care.
Right. So what is Community Well Texas's approach to helping to identify those people who are in crisis?
I would say I talk to probably 100 people across our state and in my community. Our first goal is to connect community members. If you don't even know where to start or what the journey looks like, how are you supposed to access care? So connecting our community is first, saving lives. I mean, that's the pillar of what we're doing. And then creating communities that are promoting wellness and giving people the opportunity to live their best life.
At the Women with Promise event, you told us a story about newspapers being used as diapers. Would you share a little bit about that with our audience and how you're helping change that in your community?
Absolutely. When we started our Baby Bright program, which is our prenatal to 5, we do home visits, and we have probably between 48% and 68% of the women that we serve are single mothers, often with no transportation or struggling to work, maintain their jobs, find a good quality of childcare. But the levels of poverty I've seen in our rural community is like nothing I've ever experienced working in Dallas or Austin or anything like that. So one of my first home visits, we had a mother, and literally trying to make her paycheck last. There's a free paper that goes out across the whole community, and she was using the newspaper as diapers. And the problem is the newspaper, as we took it off, well, first the ink was on the baby, but second, it was just wet. There wasn't anything to absorb. So the baby was getting sores all over their bottom. So again, a baby with no access to a pediatrician. Mom didn't have any prenatal care. And so stepping in as a supportive community member, helping mom navigate the resources to get that baby care. And then because of wonderful donors like you, being able to reach out and say, we really need diapers. And that is an ongoing, just to fill the gap in between paychecks. Almost all of my mom's work, the best that they can and the schedules that they can, while also trying to be the best parent that they can.
Thank God for you, Stephanie, and what you do. So aside from filling those gaps for single moms in your rural communities, what specific programs do you actually offer?
So we right now have about 10 programs. So we start prenatal with our baby Bright. We leap right into, we are funding 3 counselors in our schools. And so one of the things we realized in our journey of trying to save lives is that our schools, we have 9 ISDs, and we have fantastic academic counselors. We had no personal care counselors who were managing the crises, working with kids and families. So we hired 3 counselors in a partnership with Region 10 that rotate all of our ISDs. And since that program has begun, we've not lost a single child in any of our schools. We went from there to our churches. I think in our community, our churches are so important. And so we host faith care leadership training for our senior faith leaders on mental health in church. And we did active shooter training for churches. And we did that on a Wednesday, and the following Sunday there was a mass shooting. From there, we're like, oh my gosh, workplace. So our workplaces needed suicide prevention. So we got certified to teach suicide prevention. It's a 45-minute training. It's the equivalent of CPR, but for suicide. And so we offer that for free to any business or any group of people that will let us in, because the more people that are noticing and responding and recognizing, the more lives we save as a community. From there, we have participated in disaster management. So when bad things happen to our community, we're able to step in and fill those gaps, whether it's funding a motel room, mental health, or just a supportive friend. The supportive friend piece we learned from our fire departments, and I was at one last night. A lot of seniors are very isolated with no transportation and no friends, and they can't get to church and they can't get out. And so they will use 911 to visit and have friends. We have since taken that list and partnered those seniors in our community with volunteers who check in on them once a week as a friend. And since we've done that, we've stopped the unnecessary calls to 911. That kind of leapt into what happens when we do have a suicide in our community, because statistically, it affects the whole family, from small children to their parents to anybody involved. And so we're the 10th loss team in the state of Texas. So we have a group, it's outreach. We show up with first responders, and our job is to take care of the family. So we can explain how to access funeral homes, how to navigate cleaning up, what steps happen, how to get benefits for their children or for them. We have a large veteran population, and so helping navigate those resources has been really important. But that's, we're always changing, and I really hope as a nonprofit that we'll be able to put ourselves out of business soon.
I hope you can too. That's amazing, and not something I had planned on talking about, but I will share that you and I have talked about the fact that my former husband committed suicide, and I did not have any resources, and I did not know what to do. And for some reason, I thought within a few months, we would all feel better. We would be okay. We would move past it. And it's now been almost 20 years, and there's still that pain there. So there's really never you're never going to get to go out of business, Stephanie, right? But it's amazing that you're giving families in your community a head start at how to take the next steps in their lives. That's really amazing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You mentioned that Community Well Texas is working with schools, first responders, healthcare, and faith communities. But how can others in the community get involved, and even really outside of your community? I know that I've tried to be involved as much as I can.
Absolutely.
So touched by what you do, and you really aren't that far away from Dallas. So how can people get involved?
Advocacy. I think advocacy is number one for me. Giving platforms to have these not fun conversations. I think there's so much stigma around mental health and death and dying, quite frankly. We don't want to think about those things. So becoming an advocate, becoming aware as we vote where our elected officials stand, ranking 46th in the country for mental health in the great state with such great economy and so many new businesses coming in. We deserve to help each other as neighbors and communities and do better. And so advocacy is, for me, everything. I think volunteering. We have so many volunteer jobs that we don't need people physically in Fannin County or Collin County. We have a crisis helpline, just people who can help answer the phones. We need volunteers to help us do remembrance cards. So when we do lose someone, we make sure we send that family a card and a birthday card. And I think we do cards of support for the women in our Baby Bright program so that every visit they get, and we use a full curriculum, they're also getting a note of love and encouragement that they are not alone. And I think we're expanding that. We have a strong agricultural community, and our next event is with the Texas Ag Commissioner, Sid Miller, started the Agri-Stress Helpline, and we are hosting, open to the whole public, all of North Texas and beyond, a farm to dinner, just to sit down, have local produce, ribeyes, all sorts of good things, all made by community members to support people working in farms and ranches, because it's a really isolating job.
I bet,
So come help any way you want to.
I love that. I know you have a big walk coming up on September, is it September
27th?
27th. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. So the Glasser family lost their teenager, Savannah, and that is how our walk began. Very well-educated, well-connected family, and could not get their teenager connected to mental health resources in time. And Savannah took her own life. And out of that, the Walk for Hope came. So it's very unique. People come from multiple states, of course, all over Texas. And we walk for prevention. We walk for awareness. We try to make it a very healing. It is not sad. It's not a sad event, but it is definitely a memorial and helping those who are left behind continue to grieve and celebrate their loved ones. Last year, we had about 450 people come. It's at Legacy Ridge Country Club. It's a beautiful walk. It's all through its trees, and it's very, very beautiful, but it's also everyone's there together supporting each other.
And so this is really a walk to support those who have been affected by suicide personally.
And to raise awareness.
Yes.
I think the prevention piece and showing in our state and to other people, stay. Your story is not over, so stay. We care. We're marching together.
Right. And if I remember, you mentioned to me that you have people come from all over the United States to participate in this
Absolutely.
walk. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I know you've done a lot of work to obtain grants from the state, but there's probably always a financial need to continue the work that you and your organization do. How can our viewers make donations to Community Well Texas?
Absolutely. I love this question because, yes, we did a ton of work to get state grants and we failed because the state of Texas has put so many restrictions that small and rural communities aren't eligible. So the majority of all the funding that legislation allocates for mental health is going to your big communities. And so we are left with nothing. So 100% of our donations are coming from partnerships with local businesses, corporations, local donors. We have schools that the kids will they gather change, because every penny counts in saving lives. We're very small. We've gotten some local foundation grants, but again, our mission is to stand in that gap and save lives. And I think it's hard for some people to understand that I'm not giving food to someone who's hungry. I'm not, here's a night in a bed for shelter. We're saving lives, and it looks very big and very diverse. So we have a hard time fitting in criteria sometimes. So we need everybody. I mean, a $10 a month donation will literally save so many lives, not just in one county, but in many. And our goal is to create a model with all the pieces put together to share with every rural county in Texas. That's where we're setting up and driving, getting the right certifications, putting everything in good policies and procedures. We run a very clean organization because we want to share everything that we're learning.
Right. And we're going to put up on our screen right now a QR code that you can use to help make donations to Community Well Texas. Highly recommend it. I know a lot about this organization and fully believe in the work that they're doing. And so any amount would help. Like she said, diapers would help as well. So anything that you can do to help Community Well Texas is money well spent. Again, I started this show by saying this, and I'm really kind of moved to tears right now. It is very hard for me to believe that so close to home, these crises are happening. And what you're doing really is God's work, Stephanie. You're an amazing, amazing human being. And having you here today means so much to me. And I hope that anyone who watches the show will be as deeply touched by what you and what Community Well Texas and Baby Bright are doing to help people right outside of our neighborhoods. So thank you for taking the time to be with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you for helping us spread our mission.
Absolutely.
This is how we save lives, and you are key in that mission.
Thank you. That's it for today's show. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.